Welcome back to the Safety Edge podcast, where safety leaders sharpen their edge. I'm Charles Edgar, your safety leadership coach. In this podcast, we explore the real dilemmas safety leaders face on site and in the workplace. Not textbook examples, not perfect scenarios, but the challenging, uncomfortable human moments when there is no obvious right answer and the pressure is real. And in each episode, we unpack one real-world leadership dilemma and explore how adopting a coaching mindset can make the difference. Not by controlling people, but by sharpening how we think, listen, and lead. In the previous episode, part of Season 1, Leadership Under Pressure, we explored a situation when production is behind and safety appears to be in the way. In today's episode, we're exploring something deeply personal and just as consequential. When leaders react instead of respond. We'll dive into the tensions between emotion and regulation and how the choices leaders make in those moments could shape the outcome for their teams. Because sometimes the biggest risk isn't on the floor, it's in how we react under pressure. Now let's unpack the dilemma. Picture this, you're conducting a walkthrough of operations. Something has gone wrong, not catastrophic, but enough to trigger concern. You notice smoke from a pump motor. Sparks are flying. It's overheating. Clearly a problem that demands attention. A supervisor comes to you, frustrated. Voices are raised. Tensions are high. Your heart rate rises. Your mind is racing. You feel the pull to speak first, to correct, to regain control. At this time, you could either react immediately, raise your voice, demand answers, or pause, regulate your emotions, and respond thoughtfully. Your reaction in this moment shapes not only your response to the incident, but the culture within the team itself. The supervisor says in a panicky mode,
"It's just a little smoke. It's nothing serious. We've dealt with this before. We're behind schedule. There was no time for the maintenance check."
And you feel it, the temptation to mirror the emotion. But reacting in anger or frustration rarely solves the problem. Rather, it amplifies stress, shuts down learning, and signals to others that mistakes are unsafe to reveal. Now you are in a dilemma. You're not sure how to respond in the moment to achieve the best outcome. Why is this a true leadership dilemma? This isn't about weakness or incompetence. It's about how human brains respond to pressure. When adrenaline spikes, thinking narrows, emotions take over, impulse drives action. And when leaders act on impulse, others follow, often unconsciously. Silence replaces curiosity. Blame replaces problem solving. This is where leadership becomes high stakes, because your reaction sets the tone for the team. It tells them what's safe to express and what will be punished. And the incident itself is not the real risk. The real risk is how your response shapes culture long after this moment has elapsed. What do most leaders tend to do at this stage that often falls short? First, we react. We match the intensity. We try to assert a level of authority. It can feel effective in the moment, but long term it eventually stifles learning. Second, we push for accountability immediately. Demand fixes. and then proceed to assign blame to anyone we perceive could be at fault. This approach may restore temporary control, but it is bound to also create fear. And as we know, fear has a tendency to kill curiosity. Third, we retreat. We try to avoid the conflict entirely, cautiously hoping it will resolve itself. But silence sends a clear signal to others that it is not safe to speak up, and gradually, silence becomes normalized. In each of these cases, the opportunity to model calm, regulated leadership has been lost, and the culture suffers quietly, invisibly. Now let's see it from the coaching lens. This is where the coaching mindset makes the invisible visible, not by suppressing emotion, but by regulating it to create space for learning. Imagine the same scenario where you're having a tense discussion on the safety incident. The supervisor seems rather frustrated, and he says,
"This should never have happened. It's hard to follow procedures when we are under so much pressure to meet deadlines."
You respond, "I see your concern. Let's pause for a moment. Can we look at what happened and try to understand why it happened?" The supervisor responds, slightly calmer,
"Well, I guess the team should not have skipped some steps."
and you respond immediately, "Thank you for admitting that. Now tell me, what might have made it easier for the team to follow the steps this time?" The supervisor is now thinking,
Now that I think about it, the real gap was communication. If we'd flagged the pressure earlier and aligned the team, we could have planned ahead and avoided cutting corners.
Notice what happened? No shouting, no blame, no instant correction. The conversation has shifted from the people involved to now focus on the conditions influencing the behaviors. And at this stage, the root causes, preventive measures, and learning tend to emerge naturally. The next logical question becomes, what can we learn from this right now before we move on? And the responses begin to come from different places. Not defensiveness, not justification, but reflection. The supervisor says,
We need clearer triggers for when equipment should be shut down, not left to judgment in the moment.
The maintenance lead responds,
If we'd had better visibility of the schedule change, we could have adjusted the maintenance plan earlier.
The operator also chips in.
We didn't feel comfortable stopping the job once we realized we were behind.
Notice the shift again? The focus is no longer on who made the mistake, but on what conditions allowed the risk to emerge. Now, learning is happening in real time. Controls are being strengthened. And the team is moving forward, not just past the incident, but smarter because of it. This reinforces the fact that when pressure to deliver goes unspoken, it doesn't just disappear, it quietly reshapes decisions. Why this approach works? This approach works because reacting impulsively tends to amplify emotions, while responding thoughtfully with emotional regulation is more likely to open the door to insights. When leaders choose to regulate their response rather than react impulsively, instead of feeling confrontational, tense moments begin to open up space to gather information and make sense of what's really happening. They become opportunities to understand perspectives and explore the real root cause of the incident. It's not about suppressing emotion. It's about managing it so it serves the conversation and not derail it. A regulated response signals to the team that it is safe to speak up, share concerns, and contribute honestly. And in this atmosphere, People are more willing to report small issues early before they escalate, and discussions shift from blame to learning and from fear to curiosity. At this stage, emotion is acknowledged, named, and channeled constructively. On the other hand, frustration, urgency, or disappointment doesn't just disappear, but it becomes fuel for thoughtful action rather than a trigger for conflict. Over time, this approach shapes the way the team operates under pressure. It fosters a culture where learning is continuous and trust is reinforced. And at this stage, performance is bound to improve quietly, sustainably, and resiliently. How leaders respond under pressure shapes culture far more than the incident itself. The immediate incident is temporary. What matters more is the behavior that follows. The tone you set, the questions you ask, and the signals you send. Reacting may solve a problem quickly, but it can unintentionally teach people to hide mistakes or avoid speaking up. Responding instead creates a climate where issues are surfaced early, learning is prioritized, and trust is strengthened. Leadership under pressure isn't about never feeling emotion. It's about choosing intentionally how your emotions influence your actions. That choice determines whether your team feels safe to engage and improve or pressured to remain silent. Every conscious space, every regulated response reinforces the culture you want to see. It's how learning spreads, how risks are mitigated, and how resilient organizations are built. That there is the edge. As we close, let's reflect on this. Where in your organizations are leaders reacting rather than responding? What patterns of fear, silence, or blame might this be creating? Can you practice one pause, one moment of regulation before reacting next time? As safety leaders, our ability to pause, regulate, and respond thoughtfully is what sets the edge. If today's episode gave you clarity, please leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Have you ever been in a moment where emotions were running high? How did you respond at the time? What emotions showed up for you? And how might a simple pause reshape the outcome next time? And while here, make sure to subscribe and follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to invite a friend or colleague to join as well. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Safety Edge podcast. I'm Charles Edgar, your safety leadership coach. And until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and keep sharpening your edge. Bye for now.
Brought to you by the Safety Edge platform, an independent leadership and safety learning platform, building leadership capacity, one conversation at a time. Find us wherever you get your podcasts